Hello, Sanders Memorial Stallions. Mr. Petrie here, along with Mrs. Edwards and Mrs. Wilson, and we're here to talk to you a little bit about the Student Code of Conduct, because there are some behaviors that need to be addressed around the school. They involve bullying, technology, lunchroom, and bus. Now, Ms. Wilson is going to talk to you a little bit about bullying and technology behaviors, and Ms. Edwards is going to talk to you a little bit about lunchroom behaviors and also bus behaviors. So, Ms. Wilson?
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about bullying. So boys and girls, as you know, you've heard this in guidance lessons and you will hear it again this school year. Bullying is any time that one student is targeting another student. It is intentional, it's an abuse of power, it is something that happens over and over again, so it happens more than one time, and it's harm to somebody's body or to their mind. So those are the different components that we would consider to be necessary in order for it to be bullying. Bullying is not when two friends get in a fight or they argue or there's a conflict. That's not bullying. It's not a bullying situation if somebody calls you a name one time. It has to be repeated, and there has to be an actual fear of the other person that is trying to intimidate you. So that is what bullying is. We know that. We've seen some bullying behaviors this school year, so we wanted to kind of reemphasize the importance of that. Bullying is very serious. If you are found to be caught bullying, there are really severe consequences. Most of the time what happens is that we have to conduct an investigation, and it is a real investigation. So myself and Mr. Petrie and Mrs. Edwards, we talk to the two different students that are involved, so the victim and the person accused of bullying, and we have to pull in a lot of witnesses. This is a procedure that takes a lot of time. And at the end of that investigation, if it is found that a person has truly bullied someone else, that student has consequences, whether it be loss of recess, loss of privileges. Oftentimes it can result in a suspension, and it always results in a referral. So bullying is very serious, and we wanted to reemphasize what that is because we've had a couple of incidences of it this school year.
Where bullying is not tolerated at Sanders Memorial Elementary either.
Yes, thank you. I also want to talk a little bit about technology. You know, we're really, really lucky at Sanders that we have all these awesome devices. We have our iPads and our computers, and the devices are here for us to use for educational purposes. So they're meant to be used for activity lists. That's the purpose of them. They're made to be used for specific tasks. Now we know you have some choice activities where you get to play fun games and things like that at different times, and that's appropriate. But what is not okay is using your device for something that's not related to schoolwork. Looking up inappropriate videos or pictures, that's never okay on our devices. Playing games during instructional time when we should be doing our work, that's not allowed either. And you guys know this, most of you know this and abide by these rules, but if you are found breaking the rules, then that could result in a couple of things. You'll have a warning, so there's the first time you're caught doing that, there's a warning. The second time that you are caught using your computer or your iPad in a way that's not related to your schoolwork is that you could get a referral, and you could have loss of privileges with your device. So you may have to share for a while, or you may have to do some things paper pencil until you can earn that privilege back. There have been times too when those situations have resulted in suspensions. And again, back to the bullying piece, we can't use our devices to bully our friends in school. You know, even if that happens outside of school, if there are conversations in school about what has happened on social media, and it's one of our students here at Sanders, then we're obligated to take a look into that. So those are just a couple of reminders. We want all of our students here to feel safe and respected and a part of our school community, and addressing those two things are very, very important. If you see those things happening, you know my role in the school as a school counselor. I don't do the discipline piece. My role is to help support you so that you can make good choices. So if you have broken one of these rules and you're regretting it, or you feel like you want to correct it and you're not sure what steps to take, you can do that by coming to speak to me directly. Or if you see somebody that's breaking these rules, maybe you see that a kid's getting picked on and they're getting bullied, that would be another opportunity for you to come and discuss it with me so I can kind of help you work through this process.
The next thing I want to talk to you about is the lunchroom. And although the lunchroom is a time to sit and talk to your friends, and we encourage that, it's also very important that you follow the lunchroom rules. So there's three things that we want to talk about based on what we've seen in the last quarter. The first one is There's a lot of students that are wanting to use the restroom constantly.
Yeah. Getting up out of their seats and running without permission. Yeah.
And being silly.
Playing around in the
Yes.
bathroom
Yes.
is what we get a lot.
Yeah.
Turning the lights on and off.
Going in the bathroom that's not for you.
Right.
Like to tease people.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we really want you to use the restroom before coming to lunch. You have a small window of time to eat, so we don't want to waste it in the bathroom. We are never going to tell you no that you can't use the restroom, but it should only be for emergencies. The next thing we want to talk about is you should never get out of your seat without permission. So if you need silverware, if you need napkins, if you need ketchup, if you need to use the restroom, any of those things, if you want to go to the share bin, you have to raise your hand and wait for an adult to come to you and give you permission to do that. You should never just get up and go wherever around the lunchroom on your own. The last thing I want to talk about is how important it is to clean up our trash. Many times when we come to a table and we see trash and we ask a student to pick it up, the first thing they say is, "That's not my trash." It doesn't really matter if it's your trash or not. We're going to ask that you'd clean it up. There's many times that the three of us clean up trash in the cafeteria, and I know it's not mine because I'm not eating in the cafeteria. But we have to do our part to keep Sanders Memorial clean. So if you see trash, and I think that goes for everywhere around the campus, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere. I don't think I've ever passed a piece of trash. I've seen many people, adults, also coming by. They see a piece of trash, they pick it up, and they throw it away.
So please help us keep Sanders Memorial clean and do your part with picking up the trash. Even if you don't, there's a chance that you're going to be going on a field trip this year, so you want to be safe on the bus. So we're going to talk about there's lots of rules on the school bus, but I want to talk about like the major things that we've been seeing last quarter and the bus drivers that have a concern about. So the first thing is that the bus driver is just like any adult at school. You need to listen to the bus driver. If the bus driver tells you to sit down or to keep your hands in your lap or whatever it is, the bus driver is in full authority. So you need to listen to the bus driver just like you would any adult at school. You should not distract the bus driver. Their job is to keep you safe, and they have to keep their eyes on the road. So you need to use an inside voice and keep your hands and your feet to yourself so that the bus driver can do their job and get you safely to school and home each day. Students will not throw or project anything inside or outside of the bus. So we don't want to see you throwing anything outside of the windows. Your hands should be in your laps at all times. Now you can take things out on your ride home or going to school each day, but Mr. Petrie, they're not allowed to take their devices out, right?
No, devices should not be taken out because the device needs to be done at home or at school. Remember, a device is like your pencil or your folder. It's something that you can work on either at home or at school. Remember, those devices, even though you're taking them home, are still school property. And we don't want anything, if the bus driver hits a bump and out goes the iPad out the window or on the floor, it breaks, then you're responsible for it. And then remember, we don't have a lot of devices to give, extra devices to give. So if something breaks, you're going to be sharing with somebody else. And that's just right now how it is with technology.
So keep your device in your backpack at all times until you get into the classroom or until you get home. The last thing we want to talk about is that you need to sit in your assigned seats. Most of the bus drivers have assigned seats for you, and you have to sit where the bus driver tells you. If you're having problems with students on the bus, the first thing you need to do is tell the bus driver. Many students get off the bus, as I'm at buses every day, and tell me that there's a problem. And the first thing I say is, did you tell the bus driver? And most of the time, they tell me no. The very first person that you need to tell if you're having a problem is the bus driver. 9 times out of 10, if it's not a big thing, the bus driver can help you in that situation. But they can't help you if they don't know, right, Ms. Wilson?
Yes, absolutely.
So please be sure to tell the bus driver when you're having problems with students. I think it's also good that you tell an adult as you get off the bus, whether it be Ms. Wilson or Mr. Petrie or myself or even your teacher, but you also should tell the bus driver. A lot of times what the bus driver does is if you're having a problem with a student, he or she will move your bus seat to get you away from that situation. So please make sure you tell the bus driver. Let's talk about consequences on the bus. The bus driver is very lenient about consequences. He or she is, really, it takes a lot for the bus driver to write a bus warning. And by the time that we get a bus warning, it's probably 3 or 4 times of the same behavior. So the very first time that you get in trouble on the bus for either maybe it's being too loud because the bus driver can't hear for sirens on the road, or if you're not being nice to a friend, same school rules apply as they do on bus. And I think I want to talk about that real quick, because I think a lot of kids think that once you leave the premises that the rules don't apply. Your rules apply from the time you get on the bus to the time you get off the bus. Did you want to add something?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
And so if the bus driver's having repeated problems with you, you're going to get a bus warning. And that is a piece of paper that the bus driver writes up, and it tells about your behavior. And that comes to Mr. Petrie or myself. And if you get a bus warning, what we do is we call you up out of your class, and that's not good because they're missing instructional time.
Right.
And we talk to you. There are no consequences because that's the first time that you've had a bus warning. And most of the time we don't call home. We just kind of talk to you about it and coach you through it. And then we send you on your way. But that bus warning does have to go home, and it has to be signed by your parents. So we make sure that you take it home and talk to your parents about the behavior that is being exhibited on the bus and how you're going to change that behavior. Now let's say you continually get in trouble on the bus time and time again. The bus driver is allowed to write you a referral. And if you get a referral, there's always consequences that go with it. Some of the consequences that we've had were lonely lunch, where you're not allowed to eat lunch with your friends.
A loss of recess.
Loss of recess.
A seat change to the front of the bus, closer to the bus driver.
Right behind the bus driver, which is not very fun to do.
And also been suspension off the bus, where you won't be able to go to school. You won't be able to go to school on the bus that day. Your parents would have to take you. And for some of you,
inconvenience for your parents.
For some of you, that would be really inconvenient because you live pretty far away. For them to drive their car here, so you probably would end up missing school, which is not always a good thing because that would be an unexcused absence. Mr. Petrie here to talk to you about the Sharp Stallion rules. The first rule is safe. The second one is have materials ready. The third one is always try your best. The fourth one is respectful, and the fifth one is polite to others, and that spells sharp. And to be a sharp stallion is very important because that shows you that you're following all the rules of the school. The first one is safe. So for example, running in hallways is not a safe thing to do, but walking politely around corners, walking politely around people, that's being safe. Have materials ready. Always have your materials ready and be ready for anything that the teacher is providing in your classroom. If you go to specials, if she asks you to bring a device, make sure it's charged. Very important that your devices stay charged and ready to go for the day because they are like a tool at Sanders Memorial Elementary School. Also, always try your best. It's very important to always try your best because one of our mottos here is failing forward. We never give up. We always pursue things through perseverance and grit. Respectful. My number one rule, always be respectful to property, to other people's cultures or religions, just other people's habits too. Next, be polite to others. Use kind words with adults and other students. These rules are very important because these are the rules that are going to be looked at by teachers. You could gain dojo points by following them, or you could get dojo points taken away by not following them. Also, there is differences between classroom rules and also office visits. So sometimes in the classroom, with the rules that are set, the sharp rules that are set in the classroom, you could definitely get dojo points taken away during that time, or you can gain them, like I said before. But there's also office consequences. If a behavior is so bad or repetitive over time in the classroom, then you could be visiting myself or Mrs. Edwards to discuss how we can make sure that that rule is not broken again. I hope everyone has a great day. I want you to make sure that you really have any questions about the code of conduct. You ask an adult about it, but make sure that we're following that code of conduct, and more importantly, we're following those sharp rules.